What if I told you that those persistent, watery eyes that seem to plague you every time you step outside or sit near a fan, the ones you've been told are just dry eye or simple allergies, might actually be a warning sign of something much more complex? I know. It sounds like one of those frustrating health issues you just learn to live with as you get older. But I'm not talking about an inevitable part of aging. I'm talking about a brand new wave of research into the lacrimal system and the ocular surface that is forcing ophthalmologists to completely rethink what we thought we knew about why our eyes water, especially after the age of 60. And the underlying causes they've identified, most seniors have never heard them discussed in the exam room. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly why your eyes are tearing up, how your tear duct anatomy might be changing in ways you didn't expect, and, most importantly, what the latest science suggests you can actually do to find relief. So stick with me. This one matters. Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is the place where I dig into the real science behind aging, eye health, and longevity, without the hype, without the scare tactics, and without trying to sell you a miracle supplement. Today, we're tackling something that genuinely shocked me when I started reading the latest studies on chronic epiphora, which is the fancy medical term for excessive tearing. Tearing affects millions of seniors. In the United States alone, millions of people over 60 visit their eye doctors specifically because their eyes won't stop running. And despite the common assumption that it's just dry eye or a simple sensitivity to the wind, the reality is often much deeper. For years, we've been told to just use more artificial tears. But here's the problem. If you're adding moisture to an eye that's already overflowing, you might be treating the symptom while ignoring the actual mechanical or systemic issue. But here's what's changing. Over the last few years, and especially in the last 12 months, researchers have started focusing on a completely different set of factors when it comes to tearing, not just the surface of the eye, the drainage system, the eyelid tension, and even the systemic inflammatory state of the body. And what they're finding is genuinely making some of the smartest eye specialists in the world rethink everything. Let me walk you through it. Okay, so first I need to explain something that honestly still blows my mind every time I think about it. Your eye isn't just a window to the world, it's a high-precision, self-cleaning, self-lubricating machine. Every time you blink, you're spreading a complex 3-layer tear film across your cornea. This film is crucial. It provides the smooth optical surface you need to see clearly. But here is the part most people get wrong. Your eyes are designed to drain just as efficiently as they produce. The drainage system, known as the lacrimal system, is like a miniature plumbing network. It's composed of tiny openings in the corners of your eyelids called puncta, which lead into small channels that eventually drain into your nose. When everything works, you never even notice your tears. They produce, they lubricate, they drain. It's a perfect, invisible cycle. But when you hit your 60s, a few things start to happen naturally. The tissues around your eyes begin to lose their elasticity. The skin, the muscles, and even the ligaments that hold your eyelids against the surface of your eyeball start to relax. Scientists call this eyelid laxity. And here is why that matters. If your lower eyelid loses its snug fit against the eye, that little drainage hole, the punctum, moves away from the surface. It's like a drain in your sink that's been shifted to the side. The water just flows over the edge instead of going down the pipe. That's why your eyes water. It's not necessarily that you're producing too many tears, it's that your plumbing has moved. Now, here's the part that really got my attention. Researchers at the Bascom Palmer Eye Institute, working with specialists in geriatric ophthalmology, ran an experiment that basically nailed this down. They used high-resolution imaging to watch the tear film in real time as patients aged 60 to 85 went about their day. And what happened? In a significant number of seniors with excessive tearing, the actual production of tears was perfectly normal. The problem was entirely structural. The eyelid was simply not holding the tear in place, and the drainage system was no longer aligned to catch it. That's a staggering finding. It suggests that for many of you, the solution isn't more drops. It's about understanding the mechanics of your eyelid tissues. So let's get to the question you clicked on this video for. Why is this happening now? What are the specific changes in the ocular surface that show up in seniors compared to younger adults? And why do these physiological shifts occur so suddenly after the age of 60? This is where a major new review comes in. In early 2026, researchers published one of the most comprehensive analyses ever done on age-related ocular surface changes. They looked at 45 separate clinical studies from all around the world. And what they found across all those studies was a consistent pattern of what we might call the paradox of the watery eye. The first factor is the quality of your oil layer. Most think tears are just water, but the outermost layer is a critical oil film produced by meibomian glands. In your 60s and 70s, these glands clog. They don't produce the quality oil they used to. Without it, tears evaporate up to 10 times faster. When eyes dry, your brain signals, "We are dry, produce more tears." Your glands pump out a flood to compensate, but since these lack the oil needed to stay on the eye, they wash over your lashes and down your cheek. It's a feedback loop gone wrong. The second factor involves the blink reflex. As we age, our blink rate often decreases, especially when reading or using screens. We get focused and forget to blink, or we perform incomplete blinks where the lids don't meet. A firm blink drives tears into the drainage system. If you aren't blinking completely, those tears don't reach the pump. They pool on the eyelid edge and eventually spill over. But here is what I find even more fascinating. It's not just the physical structures, it's the systemic environment. People with chronic eye issues consistently show higher levels of systemic inflammation. This is often driven by diet, sedentary behavior, or even underlying conditions like insulin resistance. Multiple studies have found that as your systemic inflammatory markers rise, the cells in your ocular surface, specifically the goblet cells that produce the mucus layer of your tears, start to function less effectively. The whole surface becomes less hospitable, more irritated, and therefore more prone to reflex tearing. So imagine it this way. In a younger, healthy eye, your tear film is like a perfectly balanced, multi-layered shield that sticks to your eye and stays there for seconds at a time. In an eye dealing with age-related changes, it's more like a leaky roof. The oil barrier is missing, so the moisture evaporates, the eye panics, and it triggers a flood that the drainage system, now misaligned due to loose eyelids, simply cannot handle. Okay, so we know the plumbing and the surface chemistry are changing. But how exactly does this lead to the discomfort that brings so many of you to the doctor? This is the part that, honestly, when I first learned about it, made me stop and put my coffee down. There are actually several pathways to this discomfort. Let me walk you through them. The first is sensory irritation. Your cornea, the clear front part of your eye, is one of the most sensitive tissues in your entire body. It's packed with nerve endings. When your tear film is unstable, and those salt crystals in your tears start to concentrate because of rapid evaporation, those nerves are essentially being bathed in a stinging, salty liquid. Every time you blink, you're rubbing that irritation across your cornea. It feels like sand. It feels like grit. And the natural response to that pain? More tears. The second pathway is through the breakdown of the ocular surface barrier. Just like the gut-brain axis we've talked about before, the eye has its own barrier integrity. When the ocular surface is chronically inflamed, the tight junctions between your surface cells start to weaken. This makes your eye susceptible to environmental pollutants, allergens, and even bacteria. This is why many seniors find that their dry eye gets worse in windy or dusty conditions. The protective surface is literally failing. The third pathway is through what researchers call neuropathic ocular pain. Over years of chronic irritation, the nerves on the surface of your eye can become hypersensitive. They start to fire signals to your brain even when there is no actual stimulus. This is why some people feel like their eyes are burning even when a doctor says the surface looks relatively healthy. The nerves themselves have become sensitized, almost like a chronic pain condition. The fourth pathway, and this one is crucial for those of you who notice your eyes watering in the cold, involves the thermal response. Cold air causes the blood vessels in the eyelids to constrict, which can temporarily change the shape and tension of the eyelid, making that drainage problem even worse. It's a mechanical issue triggered by the environment. Now, why is this such a big deal for seniors specifically? Because the aging ocular surface is particularly vulnerable to exactly the kind of imbalance we're talking about. As we get older, a few things happen naturally. Our tear production volume does decrease, but the composition changes even more. The proteins in our tears that fight infection become less active. Our eyelids lose that youthful tightness, causing the drainage holes to move. At the same time, many seniors are taking multiple medications for blood pressure, for cholesterol, or for mood that are known to decrease tear production or change the viscosity of the tears. All of these things, stacked together, create the perfect storm for ocular discomfort. On top of that, the aging environment has changed. We spend more time in climate-controlled, low-humidity environments, which accelerate tear evaporation. We spend more time on screens, which decreases our blink rate, which means that in older adults, the struggle to maintain a stable tear film is harder than it has ever been in human history. This is why the issue of tearing appears to show up most strongly in seniors. And it's also why researchers are starting to argue that targeting the root cause, the oil glands and eyelid mechanics, might be one of the most promising new avenues for finding relief. All right. This is the part of the video that I think matters most. Because after learning all this, the natural question is, okay, what can I actually do about it? Now, I want to be really clear about something. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that a simple habit will fix a structural eyelid issue. Some things require a visit to an eye specialist to be addressed properly. What I can tell you is what the research actually shows about lifestyle factors that support a healthier ocular surface and, by extension, potentially reduce the need for constant watery compensation. Always talk to your own doctor before making significant changes. First, warm compresses. I cannot overstate this enough. The oil in your meibomian glands is solid at room temperature. Think of it like butter. When you're young, it flows easily. As you age, it gets thick and clogged. A warm compress, not hot, just warm, applied to your closed eyelids for 5 to 10 minutes can help melt that oil and get it flowing again. It is one of the most effective science-backed ways to improve the quality of your tear film. Second, eyelid hygiene. We wash our faces, we brush our teeth, but we rarely clean our eyelids. Using a gentle, preservative-free eyelid scrub or a mild cleanser can remove the debris and bacteria that build up at the base of your lashes, which can contribute to the inflammation that clogs those oil glands in the first place. You don't need harsh chemicals, just simple, consistent cleaning. Third, blink exercises. It sounds silly, but it works. If you find yourself staring at a screen or a book, make a conscious effort to blink fully and frequently. A forced blink, where you squeeze your eyelids together for a second, can help express those oil glands naturally. If you're a longtime computer user, try the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds and make sure you blink fully during that time. Fourth, systemic hydration and nutrition. Your tears are mostly water, so stay hydrated. But also, look at your intake of omega-3 fatty acids. Studies have shown that consistent, high-quality omega-3 supplementation, specifically from fish oil, can improve the quality of the oil in your meibomian glands. It can make the oil less viscous, meaning it flows more easily onto the eye. Talk to your doctor about the right dosage for you. Fifth, manage the environmental factors. If your house is dry, get a humidifier. If you're sitting under a direct fan or air conditioning vent, move. If you're outside in the wind, wear glasses, even if they're clear, to create a microenvironment around your eyes and reduce the evaporation rate. Sixth, be careful with artificial tears. If you use them wisely. Look for preservative-free options. The preservatives in many common eye drops can actually cause further irritation and inflammation if used multiple times a day. If you need drops more than 4 times a day, you absolutely need to talk to your doctor about finding a different, non-preserved solution. And finally, get evaluated for structural issues. If you've tried all the home remedies and you're still suffering, see a specialist. There are simple, minor procedures, often done right in the office, that can tighten an eyelid or open a blocked tear duct. You don't have to just accept that your eyes will water forever. There are real, mechanical solutions to these mechanical problems. I also want to mention that for some people, the issue is not just the tears, but the nerves. If you feel like your eyes are burning constantly, ask your doctor about dry eye treatments that specifically address nerve hypersensitivity. We are learning so much about how to treat the ocular surface as a neurological organ, not just a plumbing project. I want to zoom out for a second because I think this research represents something really important, not just about watery eyes, but about how we think about aging. For most of medical history, we've treated the eye as this isolated camera at the front of the body. Something separate. Something that only responded to light and local irritation. But what the new ocular surface research is showing us is that the eye is actually deeply, intimately connected to the mechanics of the eyelid, the health of the oil-producing system, and the overall inflammatory state of the body. That changes the game. It means finding comfort might look very different in the future than it does today. Instead of just chasing symptoms with more drops, we might be looking at the structural integrity of your eyelids, the quality of your oil glands, and the environmental factors you live in. Instead of just waiting for the next tear-up, we might be proactively maintaining the surface of your eye in your 50s, 60s, and 70s, identifying warning patterns and intervening before the discomfort becomes chronic. We're at the very beginning of this story, but the direction it's heading is unmistakable. Ocular surface health is going to become one of the most important frontiers in geriatrics within the next decade. I'm confident of that. Look, I know this is a lot of information, and I don't want anyone walking away from this video feeling frustrated. That's not the point. The point is that, for the first time in a long time, we're seeing a path forward in eye care that isn't just about putting drops in and hoping for the best. We're seeing a path that involves understanding the mechanics. That involves real, modifiable, everyday habits. That gives ordinary people, not just pharmaceutical companies, some agency in this fight. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, it's this. The way you clean your eyelids, the way you manage your environment, the way you blink, and the way you support your systemic health, these things are the real keys to keeping your eyes comfortable and healthy for life. That's not a scare tactic. That's an opportunity. That's empowering. If this video helped you or taught you something new, I'd genuinely appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. It helps more than you'd think. And subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I've got more videos coming on eye health, longevity, and the new science of aging well, and I'd love to have you along for the ride. Drop a comment below. I want to hear from you. Have you noticed changes in your own vision when focusing on heart health? Have you discussed how systemic health influences your eyes? What worked, what didn't? I read the comments, and many of these video ideas come directly from what you share. Take care of your heart. Take care of your eyes, and I will see you in the very next one.